It's playoff baseball. It started today, and we are excited. This is our playoff preview episode of One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer. And I would like to also ask you to like us on Facebook. You can contact us through One Card, One Cup, One Beer at gmail.com. You can support our efforts through Patreon. Go to patreon.com, and all you have to do is search for One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer. And you can support us, and we are greatly appreciative of that. Those of you who do watch the YouTube channel, please subscribe so you will have our content as soon as it drops. If you want to be a contestant in a trivia contest, a guest on a panel, or if you have an interesting baseball related topic you were educated on, if you just look good on camera, drop us an email. We'd like to, or you can also send us a DM, leave a comment somewhere, just send smoke signals. Hey, I'd like to be on the show. I'm a better looking guy than you guys are. That's great. Even if you're a girl, you may be a better looking guy than we are. I mean, we're just not the cream of the crop.
It
So,
don't take much.
yeah, that's right. So, JJ, how are you doing?
Well, it's October. It's October, and man,
You know, you know what that
September.
means?
Another beer corner. Jerry Connor's birthday. I don't know.
Pumpkin spice. I am
Uh,
unashamedly on the pumpkin spice
oh,
bandwagon. I know that's not popular. There's a big backlash against that, but
really?
I will die on the pumpkin spice hill. I will.
I seen a commercial or on the news. They had a little story about how it's in everything. They've got pumpkin spice Oreos, coffee, you name it. And it's very popular, and it's a huge money maker for a lot of businesses to have the pumpkin spice. So, what's your favorite things that you have pumpkin spice in?
The pumpkin spice donuts that are at Schnucks that
Really?
have that. Hey, geez, so there's a moth above my head.
You smelled that pumpkin spice.
Yeah, hold on. Got it. For those of you who are Hindus, they do not agree with me killing a moth. I'm sorry.
Um, yeah.
So I couldn't have a moth flying around, but yeah, the pumpkin spice donuts, and they got like this custard icing on them. Oh
Ooh-wee.
man, they're great. I love pumpkin spice coffee. The only pumpkin spice thing I've ever had that I don't like is once about 5 years ago, Kathy and I tried pumpkin spice beer. Doesn't work. Doesn't
Doesn't
work.
happen.
I especially like pumpkin spice pumpkin pie. That's great stuff right there.
Man, that's double the pumpkin. I saw at the store, they're always doing different flavors of soda and stuff, and it was Oreo flavored Coca-Cola. I'm scared to try that. That's two things I like. You can't put them together. That's just too much. My head explodes.
Oh, I'm a Pepsi guy. I
Yeah.
just I Coke is too. It tastes different than Pepsi. I've always been a Pepsi guy. Sorry.
Pepsi. I know what you're talking. Hey, no apologies here. Mountain Dew is made by the Pepsi people, so I'm aboard on the Pepsi train. That's right.
There we go. There we go. JJ, we are visiting the beer corner again, and I have went full redneck.
Hey, welcome to the club.
Steel Reserve 211 high gravity lager. Why
Okay.
is this? This is redneck beer for two reasons. And I can
It,
say that because I come from redneck stock. I can say that. So it's not derogatory. I'm proud of my
right.
redneck heritage.
No.
This is why this is redneck beer,
All right.
because it has an 8.1% alcohol, which is almost as much as most wines. Most wines are about 9%, anywhere from 9 to 18. This is 8.1. Most beers are around 5
Oh,
or in
that's
that
good.
area. So this also comes mainly in the 24 ounce, so it will get you drunk really fast. So this is why I call this redneck beer. It's very cheap. It's probably the cheapest beer I can find. 99 cents for this 24-ounce big boy. So if you want to get drunk fast, and I don't advocate getting drunk, I don't get drunk, but if you're that type of person, if you have went home and your wife has left you and taken the dog, and you want to get drunk fast, you go up, because she took all your money, you just take all the change out of your sofa, go up to the shop and save, spend 99 cents plus tax on this beer, you down it, and you won't care that you're divorced anymore. So
Better days ahead. All right. I gotta. See what this does to you here.
Yeah, I got my world's greatest grandpa
Now, what
mug.
kind of beer is this? It's not a lager. Is it an ale?
It's a lager.
It's a lager. All right.
Yes.
What else
And
would a redneck beer be? Lager.
there we go. It is.
Ooh,
I
what
did
is
a
that?
terrible job pouring. I'm, I'm afraid to drink this. Uh, while the head settles,
Yes.
let me tell you, Steel Reserve, also known as 211, is an American lager brand owned and produced by Steel Brewing Company, which is owned by Miller. Miller is brewed in Wisconsin and Milwaukee, and we know one thing: people in Wisconsin know how to get drunk, so they invented this beer. Okay, it has
Wait.
a high alcohol volume content. It's about 8.1 ABV, which I said earlier. It's been on the market since 1994. I didn't start seeing it until about 3 or 4 years ago. In 2012, the Steel Reserve 8.1 ABV received the gold medal in the category of American style premium lager or specialty lager at the World Beer Cup. So it has won an award. This is what I find most interesting. Reverend Horton Heat, the band,
Oh yeah.
and one of my favorite bands from growing up, the Ramones, were
Yeah.
convinced to release several radio jingles for the beverage in the 1990s. So there we go. So let's see what this tastes
All
like.
right. Batten down the hatches, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Mm.
Eh, two
Just
stars.
2 stars for 99 cents. That's pretty good. That's a
Drinkable.
yeah. 50 cents a
So
star.
yeah, I will not be drinking this entire can. I know that.
Now, is that the area code for Wisconsin or wherever 211? Is that
I don't
I thought
know.
oh, okay. I thought maybe that's what like Rey Mysterio's got the move with his area code on it. I thought maybe that was that. I don't
Oh.
know.
Yeah, you got some Wisconsin wrestler. He hits him with the 211.
What? Oh.
Um, I'll tell a story on myself. My ex-wife and I used to play Scrabble, and I would beat her. So we started playing with a different rule. Now I was in my 20s. I was stupid.
Oh no.
So we would each have a bottle of wine, and the rule was we had to finish the bottle of wine before we finished our tiles. And it really did make the game a lot more interesting because it's hard to think whenever you've been drinking that much. Well, one day, unbeknownst to me, I bought a different wine that had an alcohol volume of like 16%. And I'm like halfway through the bottle, I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I finished the bottle as per rule.
Yeah.
We finished the game, and then I just vomit. I mean, it's terrible,
None
which
of the
is
tiles.
another reason why I don't get drunk anymore. But anyway, the next morning I saw the bottle. I saw, oh my gosh, this has a lot more alcohol than I'm used to. So, um, sorry, kids, for that story. And the moral of this story is don't drink and play Scrabble. Okay.
Well, my grandparents, Southern Baptist, didn't drink, and I was down at their house one time, and I found a can of generic beer in the back room. It was a yellow label with the black letters beer on it. I was like, Grandma, what the heck's the beer doing back there? And she goes, oh, she paused for a long time. She said, it kills the chiggers. So I don't know. I didn't never see any chiggers at their house. Or she got a little where she didn't know there was any. I don't know what's going on there.
My dad used to buy generic beer, and this was back, like used to be you could buy generic. It wasn't even off-brand. It was generic. It was a can that said beer on it. That was it. And he would use it for a pizza dough recipe.
Oh,
So there
okay.
are some people who use beer for a pizza dough recipe because it's got all the hops
Oh,
and everything to make the dough rise. So pretty cool.
there you go. I did not know that.
JJ, it's a huge day in baseball. Well, yesterday was a huge day in baseball as Pete Rose passed away at the age of 83. And I think we've both been a little vocal about how we feel about his Hall of Fame status. So I'm not going to go there. But he just seemed like one of those people that was going to last forever, you
I
know?
agree. It was shocking. I was like, Pete Rose. He looked, he always looked young. Every time you'd see him at an event or a baseball card show or something like that, I didn't think he didn't walk like an old person. He always had some, zest to him when he walked and a purpose. So, yeah, I was shocked, Vince. I was shocked.
Yeah, regardless what you think about him personally, for a guy who was a limited athlete, which he always not a great athlete, he did it by hard work and hustle. And a player of his ilk probably wouldn't make it in today's world because he didn't walk much. He didn't hit a lot for power. He would get his share of doubles. He wasn't particularly fast, but he was a very good base runner. But in today's world, if you're not going to hit a home run, the home runs, if you're going to have that batting average in the 300s, you need to have some speed to go with it, or else they're just not going to take you seriously as a ball player. And I think the player that I think in today's game would most parallel him is Luisa Rice, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Um, a player who's a contact hitter, who's always hustling, who is not going to hit with a lot of power, but you need a bat on the ball, he will do it. And that's what Pete Rose was. You needed a bat on the ball, he would do it. And what amazes me about Rose is he played in his career, and I'm not talking about a little bit, I'm talking about substantially. He played second base, then he played right field, then he played third base, and then he played first base to finish his career. So these were chunks of seasons that he played these different positions. And he was never the greatest glove person in the world, but he didn't hurt you defensively too bad, I guess you could say. Um, I didn't see him play second base because that was before my time, but I have read that he was not good at turning the double play. He was okay at getting the balls, getting two balls. He had a decent arm for second base, but turning the double play was not one of his greatest strengths. Um, and I remember when I first got into baseball, he was playing third base for the Big Red Machine, and he was a decent third baseman, uh,
Yeah.
decent fielding third baseman. So, what's your greatest memory about Pete Rose?
Well, Pete Rose, as a kid, we didn't get many TV games on TV, and the name was more instead of a name of a person, it just seemed like it was like a legendary status. Like, oh, that's a play Pete Rose would have made. First time I ever remember seeing anything about him was he ran over Ray Fosse at an All-Star game. Back then, the National League, well, it just the All-Star game meant more.
Yeah,
You didn't see these guys until it was the World Series, maybe in the spring training and at the All-Star game, and the leagues wanted to prove they were better than the other leagues. And there was a stretch of time where, believe it or not, the National League won a lot of games. And Pete Rose, how many All-Star games was he on? I got it written down here. 17-time All-Star. Most people don't even play 17 years. Ran over Ray Fosse. I remember every year the playoffs would be on TV, and the Reds were in the playoffs a lot. So you would see Pete Rose then playing against the very best players. And he had kind of a squatty batting stance. And his batting strike zone was small because he kind of bent down, but he was so difficult to strike out. In his career, in a 24-year career, he only struck out 1,143 times. That's just absolutely amazing. He took good at bats. It seems like he never took an at bat off. He just didn't swing for the hills or he always was doing something productive. He was a switch hitter. He could move, spray it to any outfield position from either side of the plate. I remember when it seemed like I was up in Michigan for a summer visiting my dad, and he was on that 44 game hitting streak. And when it got to about 35 games, they would break in the middle of a TV show and show you Pete Rose's at bat. And it got exciting when he got the hit. You're like, all right, man, Pete Rose is going for it. Of course, it's DiMaggio's record he was chasing. And I don't know if the days, the different eras, if it meant it was harder. I just don't know. It's hard to get a hit in Major League Baseball anyway. And then It seems like he was always in a scrap or something. Back then, you could take out the second baseman. I remember a big fight with him and Bud Harrelson from the Mets, and they were duking it out. Later, became teammates and evidently friends. And Pete's that kind of guy. If he was on your team, you loved him. If he's on the other team, you hated him. And I always thought it was very cocky when he moved over to first base. If he caught the ball and it was the final out of the inning, he'd spike it. And I was like, oh, that Pete Rose. Oh, I wish somebody would go over there and strangle him. But he played hard. He was a winner. I think I saw some stats where he was in more uh, winning games than any other player. 24 years. I think he would have played more years, Vince, had he not gotten any trouble for gambling because he was the player coach of the Reds. And in Cincinnati, they just loved him. He probably could have coached until he didn't want to anymore there.
Yeah,
So,
he's from Cincinnati, so he was a hometown boy, and
and a
he
legend,
from the town.
two
Yeah,
stints there.
when you talk about his batting, the way he hit, yeah, he had that. He kind of really crouch and kind of arch his back, and the batting stance, Arise doesn't remind me of him, but that Rose would have a very short, compact swing where he would kind of explode into the ball, boom. And Arise has that. That's why I say Arise kind of reminds me of Rose, not physically and not in the batting stance, but the way he has that very short, compact, quick swing that he's most hitters are, even those that you think with a kind of a compact swing, it's a bigger swing. And so with a bigger swing, it takes more time. When you have that short, compact swing, you don't have to really adjust as much to different pitches, off speeds, and stuff like that, because you kind of focus on see the ball, swat at it, boom. It's a different kind of hitting, and that's what Rose did. And the great singles hitters of yesteryear, who Rose emulated, um, they were that kind of hitter, that short, compact, quick swing, see the ball, hit the ball. And I think Rose probably uh, maybe not did it better than anyone else, but did it certainly longer than anyone else. But used that style of hitting to become the all-time hits leader when really physically he had no business being as good as he was.
No, did he have speed? Probably average at best.
Yeah,
Defensively, he made himself a good defender, but he didn't have all the skills of some of these other guys. Power, not necessarily. But man, he had knowledge of the game. He knew
baseball
the
IQ was way up there.
way up to he knew the pitchers, what they threw, what when they like to throw. This is before all these statistics and everything that they give you these cards to follow. He just instinctually knew the batters and everything. And what a lineup! That big red machine that he was the leadoff guy and really set the plate for the rest of them to come through. And you knew it was one of those guys were going to get on base, and then Foster had hit the home run. It was fantastic. I have a few items here. I just got out of my thing, but I met Pete Rose once. He was very nice, and one thing I loved about him was his father was a huge Enos Slaughter fan and taught Pete to play like Slaughter, just all out, no regrets, give it everything you got. So that was kind of one of my connections there. But I got a Pete Rose autograph 8x10. There he is. That's a young Pete Rose right there. You can tell the uniform's a little bit different. And then I got a card. Back then I didn't have a whole lot of money, but that's like the '78 Pete Rose right there with the mutton chops and that haircut he always had. And you know what I think of him too, Vince? Going into second and third, that dive. He would dive. And his statue, I was going to say Three Rivers or Riverfront Stadium, and I don't even know the name of it anymore, but it's him diving. And that's really an icon. The batting stance and that dive into base, and he'd hop up and be ready to go. So that's some of my recollections of Pete Rose there, Vince.
And he had one of my favorite quotes ever that he would run through a fire wearing a gasoline suit to play baseball.
I remember that. That's right.
That,
Very good.
that's a
Very
great
good.
quote. It's a great quote.
We lost somebody else too. I don't know if you knew about this, Vince, but Ozzie Virgil, he passed away.
I did not hear about that.
Well, I thought it was Ozzie Virgil the one we grew up watching. It was his father,
Ozzie Virgil Sr. died.
Senior. Yes, he passed away. He played from 56 to 69, had a 9 year career. Um, he was 92 years old. Uh, Played 2 years with the Giants, 3 years with the Tigers, a year with the A's, the Orioles, the Pirates, and then went back to the Giants for his last 2 years. And some of the things of note, he was really just a he was in the big leagues, but he was a backup catcher. Is predominantly what he was. He was the first non-white player on the Detroit Tigers in 1958, and he's the very first Dominican born player ever in the MLB. So those are two huge accomplishments. And he was also in the United States Marines. So thank you for your service, sir. Spent two decades as an MLB coach, and he was on the coaching staff of the 1984 San Diego Padres that was the National League champions. So, and of course, his son, Ozzie Virgil Jr., who I grew up watching, and Vince did, that was his son. So, anyway, Ozzie Virgil also passed away. I just wanted to bring some recognition to him.
Now was Junior? I don't think he was in the majors in '84. I think that was
I don't know.
because if he was in the majors in '84, because I think Junior played exclusively for the Braves. That would have meant that huge iconic brawl between the Padres and the Braves. Junior would have been on the Braves, and Senior would have been on the Padres.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know.
Throw it
I don't
out,
know.
old man. I've been waiting to do this all my life.
If I was in a big brawl and I'm out there for my teammates, I'd find my friend on the other side. We just stand over there and hold each other and talk. How's the kids? How's everything going? Just stay out of the action.
The Blues. I'm not much of a hockey fan. I used to watch it a lot more because I
Uh-huh.
basically don't watch it at all anymore. But when I was a teenager, I'd watch hockey. And Brian Sutter, and there was like three Sutter brothers in the
Oh yeah.
NHL. And once Brian got in a fight with his brothers, pretty cool. So, by the way, real quick, yes, I am wearing a Yankees jersey. Something I said I will never do, but I don't see this as a Yankees jersey. This
Oh yes.
Juan Soto.
Oh, oh, you're bringing them over. You're bringing them over.
This is my. I'm throwing these Soto vibes to Soto to
Yes,
come to Chicago. We
it's
need you.
possible.
We need
Yeah.
you.
Woo.
Did you watch yesterday's doubleheader?
Yes, as much as I could. Yes, I did. It was incredible. The first game off the charts.
Yeah, the second game was okay,
Yeah.
but the first game was the game of the year, I think,
Oh,
with what was on the line and how it kept going back and forth. And I was doing some work on the house and I was paying attention. And the last few innings, if I took my eye off it, I would miss something. And
yes.
I know Lindor is not going to win the MVP, and nor should he. Uh, Otani's year is just off the charts. But Lindor proved I am a money ball player, and he hit that home run when it looked like the Braves had come back and retaken the lead, and he hit that home run, and he just put his head down and ran the bases. It just like that's when you know you got a superstar. This is what I'm supposed to do. Big players rise to the occasion and they expect to come through. The Reggie Jacksons, the Albert Pujols, and the Francisco Lindors, they expect to come through. It's like Michael Jordan was once asked by a reporter. They were talking about one of the playoff games where he hit a game-winning shot, and this was after the season. And the reporter said, I said, I did this, and I knew I was going to get my shot. And the reporter said, "What if you would have missed it?" And Jordan just looked at him like, "What?" it wasn't even in his mind that he would have missed the shot because big players rise to the occasion. By the way, I not only got the Soto jersey, I also got a um, Barons jersey, a Birmingham Barons jersey with Michael Jordan's number on it. Name.
Very good, man.
I'm
Outstanding.
pretty
Outstanding.
charged.
You know that game with the Astros and the Braves yesterday, it was like two games. The first game was like two games. It was 3-0 for 7 innings, and not much was happening. You know, the Braves had that 3-0 lead, and then the last 2 innings was like an opera. You know, one team would score a lot of runs, the other team would come back, then the other team came back. It was back and forth, and even the bottom of the ninth was exciting. I was so happy for Mark, our listener or viewer
Oh
from New
yeah.
York. He's lived and died with the Mets for his life, but this year in particular. And I felt bad for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who probably as a team was set and watching these games, and then was pulling for the Mets in the second game, and then the Braves won it. So that's baseball, though. It's ups and downs,
I,
and
I sent
usually.
I sent Mark a message saying congrats, and he said, "I feel like I gave birth." I said, "Yes, a playoff birth." That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, so the season finished on Sunday, and I'll just go over the league leaders in the traditional categories because let's face it, people our age, that's really what we're interested in.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the year, I don't care who's got the best weighted runs created or whatever. I want to know who the batting champs were, who the home run champs were. So, batting champs in the American League, Bobby Witt Jr. hit 332 and Luis Ariz hit 312. Three batting titles, three different teams, never been done before, two different leagues. What a
Incredible.
hitter. He just wakes up, he hits. That's what he does. Home runs, Aaron Judge had 58 in the American League, Otani 54 in the National League. RBIs, Judge 144 in the American League,
Oh,
Otani 130 in the National League. Hits, Bobby Witt Jr. 211 hits, and he had the
all
big
right.
hit today. Um, and Luis Ariz had 200 on the dot.
All right.
Stolen bases, uh, Cabarro of Tampa Bay had 44 in the American League, and Ellie De La Cruz in the National League had 67. And like I said a few weeks ago, in the 80s, you had leaders who were always 80 to 100 and some odd stolen bases league leaders. And even with the bases and the disengagement rules, we're still not seeing those kind of numbers. But we're seeing more people stealing bases than ever before. And this was the year with the most stolen bases since 2000 or 1915. So 110 seasons.
Woo.
Uh, and that's what the fans wanted to see, stolen bases. You got it, fans.
Yeah.
Uh, on the pitching side, victories, Tarek Skubal and Chris Sale in the National League both had 18. ERA, Skubal 2.39, Sale 2.38. Strikeouts, Skubal 228, Sale 225. Both of them won the Triple Crown in pitching. Very good. And in saves, Emmanuel Clase for the Guardians had 47, and some dude named Hal Leslie um, for
That's
some
right.
Western team had 48. So congratulations to Helsley. Great year coming out of the Cardinals bullpen. Really, the difference between 91 losses and 78 losses was
Yeah,
Helsley having such a superb season, not all the blown saves that you had last year. So congratulations.
it's rough. Vince, also some statistics from the league this year. Games average time was 2 hours and 36 minutes, and that was the fastest average game since 1984. So 2 hours and 36 minutes.
Saturday, the Cubs played the Reds, 1 hour and 48 minutes.
What was the score in that game? Was that the 1-0? Or I'm
Uh,
sorry.
yeah, that was either the 1-0 or 3-0. I'll find it later on when I do Cubs news, but yeah. 1 hour and 48 minutes. I can't remember the last time I saw a game under 2 hours.
That's like a Maddox game right there. Yeah.
It was, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And low scoring games too. Major League Baseball attendance for the second straight year, it went up. Total around the league, 71,398,366. And that was the largest attendance since 2017. And it's the first time we've had back-to-back years where the attendance has went up for 2 straight years since 2011 and 2012. So it seems like the game with these rule changes and expanded playoffs, it's thriving. It's doing good. It's doing good. So that makes me happy that baseball's doing good. New teams. You got the Royals going from the worst team, 100 losses to making the playoffs. So a lot of good things are happening. Then you got the old regulars in there too, the powerhouse teams. But it's kind of fun to see the little guys take off against the big guys. It's gonna be fun. And Vince, there's a new thing in baseball. I don't know if you knew this, and I've seen this in a commercial, and I've been trying to look it up. Back in the old days, when you went to the game, you had a ticket in your hand, you handed it in, they tore the ticket, and you went in. And now a lot of people are getting it downloaded to their phones. You have to have the ticket up, and then they scan it. Well, in Texas, they have a thing you walk through. You don't even need to get your phone out, and it reads off your phone, and you don't even have to take your phone out, and it's just right in. You walk right into the ballpark. You'll say like two admittances or two tickets, and
Wow.
you and your whoever. That's pretty cool. If that gets going, you won't have those long lines outside the ballpark. You'll just go right in. So that'll be nice. So that's a new thing baseball has going. I was also going to tell you this. Raleigh Fingers is a big baseball card enthusiast, and he has a card grading company. And when he grades the card, they put it in this case that you can't open because then you tampered with it. But on it, it's got the mustache. It's a Raleigh Fingers company when you see the Raleigh Fingers mustache on there. So anyway, I thought I brought that up. There's a couple of things I learned this week.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
I like when baseball players are card collectors and memorabilia collectors
Oh
because
yeah.
that shows me that they love the game. And there are players who are not didn't grow up baseball fans who were just good at baseball. And yeah, I think about Ryan Sandberg, even though he was named after Ryan Durham, a major league player, he wasn't a huge major league baseball fan. He was just good at it, and he worked and was a great player, and then he went to the minors to learn the management so he could be a manager and became a manager for the Phillies. Um, it takes all kinds of people to become baseball players. Some are really into it, some aren't, but the ones that are really into it that, are collectors or historians, man, I love them. I used to love, boxing was much more popular when we were growing up. I used to love watching Mike Tyson on
Oh,
ESPN with Larry Merchant because Tyson, you can say what you want about him, he knew boxing history. He was like an encyclopedia of boxing. Um, I'm going way back to the Joe Louis days and everything. And I kind of wish, he does these tours and everything, and he's had his problems, and he spent time in prison, so on and so forth. I I kind of wish he would like maybe write a book or something, or do a documentary on the history of boxing because he is one heck of a boxing historian, and people have forgotten that because since he retired from boxing, he doesn't participate in stuff like that like he used to.
there was a announcer who knew all the old boxers, Joe Louis and all those guys, and they said Mike just talked to him for hours and hours about how they handled themselves, what kind of personalities they had, that kind of thing. He wanted to know every little bit of information about it too. And I don't know, about the Sphere in Las Vegas where they have the rock concerts and stuff. I think they're going to have MMA fights now in the Sphere as well. But I'd like to see a boxing match in that. That would be something else. You could have all the cameras with and close ups on that thing. That would be pretty incredible, I think, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yep. Any other general news?
Well, I just have a few items I was going to show off.
Anybody else die?
No, no, no. Well, the Giants moved on from their presidents of operations and they hired Buster Posey. Is it Buster? Yeah, Buster Posey's going to take over being with the Giants. And you were talking about players that love the game. Buster Posey made enough money. He could go off and just, live the retired life. But he's going to be in there. And I think that's great. Buster always was a good ambassador of the game, a great player, young players. I know the Cardinals through the years, we had Dale Maxville, who was a player, was our general manager, and Stan Musial was for 1 year. And the Cardinals won the World Series the year that Stan ran the club. But I know it's a lot of time and everything. A lot of these guys, they don't need the money or anything like that. They just love the game. But it's going to be good to see Buster Posey back in the game, running the Giants, and I wish him all the luck, except against the Cubs and the Cardinals. That's it. I hope he wins all the rest of the games right there.
And
And that's
it says something if you're a Giants player and you've got a general manager that you don't know anything about, and then suddenly your GM or whatever his title is going to be is Buster Posey. I grew up watching you.
oh
Dude,
yeah,
you were pretty good. You
and he
won three
knows it.
World Series. So,
Yeah, and he could tell. I mean, he could talk to the players like one of them, and talk about just what to expect and things like that. It seemed like baseball got away from the players doing stuff like that. It became more like the Heim Blooms and the Moselocks and things like that who were doing those jobs.
the Jed Hoyers.
Yes.
Oh, so what happened in Cardinal news this week
Well,
is finished.
well, we finished, and as a number 83 and 79, and Vince, I'll take that, and you hit it right on the head. Tied, tied with the Cubs.
Yes, that's where that number is familiar from. Yes.
And I tell you what, I'm proud. The Cubs are a good team. We finished with them, and you even said down the stretch they were like the fifth hottest record down the stretch. So I'm proud of that. And the big change was better pitching. Our defense was really good. Our bullpen was way better than last year. Helsley was a big part of that. Kittredge and JoJo Romero, and we had Fernandez. So I was really proud of that, and that's a big increase, and hopefully a little more upswing. Our young players got a little more experience, so we will see. But right after the season was over, the Cardinals always have a press conference. Well, if the season ends at the end of the regular season, and it did this year, we had a news conference. Both of the DeWitts were there, Mozeliak and Heim Bloom was there, and basically, because I've listened to so many reports, I actually watched it, and this is what my takeaway is. We're going to move away from a lot of the players like Goldschmidt, who his contract's over, and I loved him. It's hard to see him go, but he is getting older, and we have a lot of young guys that can play those positions. Looks like the Cardinals are going to go with the youth movement. I really don't. I don't know, but I don't expect them to re-sign Lynn and Gibson. I see maybe some moves that we might move some of the players for prospects. I don't know, but I think they're going to let a lot of the young guys just get playing time. We haven't hit really in the last 2 years, and Goldie didn't hit much this year until down the stretch. So we'll see. I like. Okay, if this is how we're going to do it, and that's the plan, that's fine, and I'm good with that because I want to see these young players play, and maybe in a couple of years we're ready to add a couple extra players in there because we've been spoiled. The Cardinal fans, we've been pretty good for a while, and we always seem to be like people would retire, and we were just able to go get somebody else and plug them in and keep the machine going. We didn't always go to the World Series. We always maybe weren't one of the front runners, but we were always above average team until the last couple of years. So I don't mind this move. This happens to a lot of teams. They have to go through this, and we have some guys in the minors that are coming, and it's just we have a log jam with some of these players. So maybe we can make some moves, get some more prospects, and pitching seems to be the major thing the Cardinals have to go with. It looks like this is the last year of Mozeliak, and I don't want to say Ollie because we'll see how Ollie does this year, but Mozeliak will be gone, and Heim Bloom, who's going to go down to the minors and revamp our minors. And after spring training, they're going to build a new facility in Jupiter, Florida, and really focus on our minor leagues. Apparently, we've gotten behind with what other teams are doing, so going to revamp it. Sounds good to me. It seems like it needed revamping. And Mozeliak, this will be his last year, and then Bloom will take over, and they signed him to a 5-year contract, and he seems like he wants to be here in 5 years. I like to see what he can do. I don't know if Ollie's going to make it next year because usually sometimes when a new GM comes in or president of operations, they want their guy in there. So we'll see what happens there. And
You know who's available now, don't you?
well, there. You mean as a manager? Well,
Yeah.
well, Madden's available. I know that, but I don't know if he
I'm
wants to come
talking
back.
about from Cardinal
Oh,
history.
Skip Schumacher.
Yeah, he's
I
not
love
coming
Sch-
to the Marlins. So,
I know. I can't believe it. He did such a good job last year, and they didn't give him a whole lot this year. You
oh, he
know,
had nothing to work with. And then,
yeah,
and then when Alcantara went down, you know,
yeah,
there's
that was it.
nothing there.
And Vince, I think you'll agree with me. I think everything really hit the bottom when they got rid of Schilt. He was on a 17-game winning streak. Him and whoever, I was thinking Mozeliak had some sort of different point of view. They just dropped him, and to this day, I don't know hardly anybody knows what happened there. And we all loved Schilt. And now you look over at San Diego, and they may win the World Series this year. And good for Schilt. I wish he was here doing his thing here, but I'm glad he landed on his feet and doing very well with a team that appreciates him. So I didn't have it, Mike. If you're watching the podcast, I didn't have anything to do with you getting fired because I love you to death.
I think there was a power struggle, and I don't think Mozeliak likes to lose.
Yeah,
I think he thought I know the people love Schilt. I know we just went to the playoffs with this tremendous run, but I'll take the bullet here. But I'm doing it my way, and because Schilt genuinely said that he was shocked. He had no idea this was coming. So
none of us did either. Um, but anyway, we've got a good bunch of young guys, and I don't know if you saw, but last night MLB Channel had the Major League, Minor League awards for best pitcher, best hitter, best prospect, best debut, all kinds of things. And the Cardinals had one guy that won 2 awards. He won the debut player of the year and pitcher of the year, and it's Quinn Matthews. This kid, first year in the minors, and he went from A ball, rookie ball, all the way up to AAA. He's at Memphis now, and Vince, he had over 200 strikeouts. Now I know it seems like each step he makes he's dominating. So maybe I don't know. I don't know what the Cardinals going to do. Maybe keep him in minors 1 year, get him seasoned, and bring him up in 26. I don't know, but he looks good. Hintz did real good. McCreavy's done good. We have some good young pitchers. We're stuck. But Matt's contract, I can't see us get. He's gonna be with us, and Michaelis. Uh, so uh, so with Sonny Gray and our other pitcher we just picked up. So these young guys will be filtering in, and I think the future is bright. I don't remember us having this many good young prospects coming up on the pitching side of things. So we'll
yeah,
see.
is Matthews he's out of college, right? He didn't go straight from high school.
Right, I believe so. I believe so. But Vince, all these kids look so young. I look at some of these kids, McCreevy especially. I'm like, oh my God, he's 24 years old. He looks like he's 12. He's so young looking. So I think he did go to college, but I'm not positive on that.
If
But
if I'm if I'm the Cardinals and he's in spring training and he's throwing strikes, he's on the team.
he's on there.
That's Skeen should have been pitching for Pittsburgh all year. If you're throwing
Yes.
strikes and you throw that good, why go to AAA and continue to dominate? And if it's an innings thing, we can't, he's never pitched 110 innings. We can only maybe push him to 130 innings. Fine. Get us 130 innings in and let him finish out the year on the bench, or, give him a DL in the middle of the year and try to kind of, if you're in the race, kind of try to get him where he's pitching at the end of the season. But I think the day where just because you're young and don't have a whole lot of minor league experience, we're still not going to bring you up. I think that day's over with. these players that go to these big time college programs, they're playing against quality competition. So in my mind, if you throw that good, if you can throw strikes, come on up. Yeah.
Come on, we'll need you if he's that good, man. We'll need you. And I tell you what, Skeens there at the end of the year. I remember his last start. He only threw 2 innings, but they had him in New York. He threw 2 innings, 3 strikeouts, no runs. Looked fantastic, and look out for next year with him. So we
Yeah.
got some guys. The future looks bright, Vince. I think, and you know, between us and you guys, we had 83 wins. 88 would have been right there in the hunt for a playoff spot. 5 more wins, 8 more wins for sure. We would have been in. So we're getting there. We're just a little on the outside still yet. Yeah, that's
So,
it for me on the Cardinal news.
okay. Cub news.
Sorry.
That's okay. In Cub news, let me turn the page here, as Bob Seger said.
Oh
Um,
yes.
all right. Per Bob Nightingale, who tweeted or Xed or whatever you do nowadays, that the Cubs are one of the teams that are interested in Pete Alonso. So I got on one of the Cubs sites and I asked simply, the Cubs have been projected to be a player in Pete Alonso again this year. What do you guys think? I had almost 170 comments. Overwhelmingly, no, 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 we don't need him. I agree wholeheartedly. He's one dimensional. He's Dave Kingman. He hits home runs. And I don't remember the last time he hit like a big home run. He seems to hit home runs when they don't matter. At least that's my perception of him. For someone who's going to break the bank, who's going to hit 235, strike out a lot, not be one of the greatest clutch players. I don't even know if his OPS was 800 this year. I don't want this guy. I'd rather have Michael Bush at first. And I I think that if the Cubs are going to be all in on a guy like break the bank and get Juan Soto, a monster in the lineup. Alonso hits his home runs. I will give him that, but I don't see him as a game-changing impact player of that ilk. I kind of see him kind of as an aloof. He's Dave Kingman. He's very aloof. He hits his home runs, um, but he just doesn't do it for me. I want a Guerrero. I want a Soto. I want someone in that lineup that people say, "Oh crap, that guy's coming up again." Yeah, we've got him out twice in a row. He's due. Oh my gosh, what's he gonna do? He's gonna double. I better throw this ball a foot outside because in case he does hit it, I want him to maybe doink the ball to the opposite field. I want that kind of hitter in the lineup. So, and I verified that with 100, almost 170 fans. Overwhelmingly, we don't want this guy. He's not the answer. You don't have to be a smart GM to know that this is, if we're going to spend money like this isn't the guy. We've got Bush at first base, and Bush is never going to be a guy who's going to hit 40 home runs. He's a very good first baseman, but I'm talking about we're the Cubs. We need to have a superstar bat in the lineup that people say, oh crap, that's one of the top 5 players in the league, and he can beat us with his eyes shut. That's what I'm looking for. So, uh, Jed Hoyer had his end of the year thing. Basically, we're frustrated. We should have done better. We could have done better. We didn't do better. We have to evaluate things, all the political talk. The only thing of substance that he did say is that we got rid of Mike Napoli, the first base coach. We got rid of Aducci, the assistant hitting coach, and Holmes, the bullpen coach. And kind of see some of this coming because last year we hired counsel so late. And for whatever reason, I guess the Brewers had the right to hold on to their staff and council couldn't talk to them. I guess they were under contract. So council is now building his team, and the first thing you do is you get rid of people. So he got rid of people that weren't really his people. I like Napoli. We did get thrown out a lot on the bases, which is kind of his thing. But he's a very cerebral guy, and I think he's going to have a place with another organization to make an impact. Players love Napoli. Players absolutely loved him, and I wish him the best, as Aducci and Holmes too. Um, we finished the year with a 3-2 week. We beat Philly 10-3. Um, Anything significant happened there? I think, uh, yeah, Steele started his last game off the DL, 4 innings, 2 runs. You know, he was on a pitch limit. So we lost to Philly 9-6 the next night. What was cool is that Nico Horner had been stuck on 5 home runs for like ever, hit 2 home runs. So he finished the year with 7 home runs. I think Paredes had 4 hits in that game. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
And Assad got creamed that game. 4 in the third innings, 8 earned runs. Thank you, Assad. You can go home now. And then Friday we beat Cincy 1-0, and Horner had a couple of hits. Amaya drove in the only run. Tyon 7 shutout innings. He finished year 12-8 with a 3.27 ERA. And Porter Hodge came in and got his 8th save. And the next day we beat Cincy again 3-0. There's 18 straight innings of shutting out the Reds. Hendricks had his best game of the year, 8 1/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs. ERA sank, and I mean completely sank to 5.92. Awesome. So Porter Hodge came in and got his 9th save.
He's
Finished.
been good. He's
Oh
been
yeah,
good.
9 saves. Once we quit doing it by committee after Neris left and kind of gave him the job. Striking out a lot of people, not walking many. ERA 1.88. Been an absolute find this year. And then on Sunday, we lost to Cincinnati 3-0. And the only bright spot is Caleb Killian pitched 5 innings of shutout ball. So I was kind of happy to see Caleb have a good. And we lost that game in the 10th when the Reds scored 3 in the 10th. So we pitched 27 straight shutout innings against the Reds to finish the year. So that was pretty cool. So we finished 83-79, exactly what we finished last year. And we thought, maybe if we get to 85, 86 wins, we would be in the playoffs. That wasn't going to happen this year. Things were a little bit different than they were last year. So it's absolutely imperative that we do something different because offensively, we're about the same team. Um, and pitching wise, the starting was great. The relief pitching was shaky most of the year. Kind of the last couple of months when things got hammered out, people were getting back from injury, and we figured out who from the minors could pitch at this level. Once we had that, like I said, we had the 5th best record the last couple of months of baseball. Um, but remember when August started and we were in last place? Yeah, so um,
Yeah.
it was just too little, too late. So that's kind of the Cubs season. I will after the playoffs, I'll get into an assessment of Jed Hoyer and what I think the Cubs need to do. I'm not one of these people that think everything's bad. We should win 100 games every year. And as I told someone the other day, um, Cub fans have become entitled since 2015. We feel like we should win it every year. Who does that remind you of?
Oh, reminds me of, well, Cardinal fans right now and
Cardinal fans and Yankee fans.
Yankees.
That's
Oh,
what I
yeah, the
said.
Yankees.
We have become entitled, much like the Yankee and Cardinal fans, me included. I feel like, yeah, we're the Cubs. We're in a big market. We should be in it every year. Every player
Well,
wants to come here and play. Best facilities in baseball. Why that HE double hockey stick? We winning 95 games every year and winning a World Series every couple of years.
Vince, though, for what we have and where we've come from, there's teams, expectations. The Toronto Blue Jays they were talking about World Series. They didn't even make the playoffs. Texas Rangers won it last year. star-studded team didn't even make the playoffs. There's so many good teams out there, and that didn't make it. So now
Diamondbacks
yes,
went to the World Series.
and
Neither
they're
of our
great. Yeah.
representatives went
Oh,
this year.
and
And 2 years ago, White Sox were in the playoffs. I can't believe the White Sox didn't make it this year.
oh,
Oh, congratulations to the Southsiders for breaking the major league records of 121 losses.
that's right. If you're gonna be bad, be the worst. That's what I
That's,
say.
yeah, go all out. So anyway, you know who is entitled?
Who is entitled?
Is entitled. They should
What?
win every year.
Oh, he wins all the time. Jeremy Connor.
Jeremy Cotter. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. Oh, we're going to kind of preview the playoffs. I know that some of the games have finished, but I actually did my preview and my predictions before the games today, and I am already so wrong.
You know, here in about a month, we can do sports. We probably will be able to do sports betting, but do yourself a favor. Don't listen to me. Come up with your own answers. Um, but yeah. Oh, I don't know if you heard, Vince, too, that there is a CBD product that baseball's promoting called Charlotte's Web. I don't know if you heard about this, but they have a contest that me and Brody put our choices in. If you have a perfect bracket and you answer, there's like some questions at the end, like how many home runs will be hit in the playoffs? How many games will the World Series go? How many runs will be scored in the World Series? That's the tiebreakers. You could win $50,000. So me and Brody put ours in, but things aren't looking good already for us.
Well, let's just kind of talk about each one of the teams, what we feel, and then we'll finish by what we predicted. Let's start in the American League. What I found out with all the playoff teams, there is pitching wise, the Guardians have the best ERA in the American League of the playoff teams. And it's almost a half a run better than the sixth team in ERA. Do you know who that sixth team is?
The sixth team in the American League?
Yeah. The worst ERA in the playoffs of the playoff teams in the American League.
My goodness. The Yankees?
Baltimore.
No. Baltimore. Really? With Burns over there? Oh.
Yeah. But down the last few weeks, their pitching has been not that good. They've not been a very good team the last few weeks. And it's strange because last year they went into the playoffs with a ton of momentum and they looked like the team on the rise. And then they absolutely got embarrassed in the playoffs. But when I look at the American League, when we're talking about pitching, Cleveland, the Tigers, the Astros, the Yankees, the Royals, in that order, they're all pretty close in ERA. And then there's that drop to Baltimore. And so at one time, I probably thought Baltimore may be the favorite in the American League. And after looking at their pitching, their bullpen is in disarray. They converted 46 saves out of 67 opportunities.
That's us last year, man. Whew.
Yeah, they're how I mean the offense is great, but
Yes.
how are they going to last in a close game when things are so nip and tuck if they can't close it out? I know they released Kimbrel a few weeks ago, and he was their closer, and Kimbrel's kind of over the hill. Um, but I'm just not sure that I like Baltimore's pitching. By contrast, I really like Cleveland's pitching. Detroit has the very same ERA as Cleveland, but I don't know how Detroit is going to sustain in the playoffs, being their Tarek
Yes.
and then openers. You know, they're relying on openers for two out of every five slots, sometimes three out of every five slots. And I don't see that being something you can sustain in the playoffs. What do you think?
Oh, I'm exactly with you. I was looking at all the statistics. They got their ace and then the rest. They got a few studs in the bullpen, but I think teams like that, the first round is the best of three. If you come out, you get your hitting and your stars out there, and he comes through like you expect him to, you can get through that one. But then you go to the best of five and the best of seven. I think your team gets exposed, and their players defensively very good, but there's some holes in that batting too. They've got some stars, but then they've got little holes in there. So I think I like Detroit's red hot. Sometimes you can ride that momentum, but I think they're going to get exposed in the second or third round right there.
Their cleanup hitter today had 5 home runs in the season. Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
It, it
little
it's
Tom Lawless out there.
yeah, it's a weird team.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm not sure anybody's pitching scares me. But I do think that the Guardians have the best pitching in the American League. Uh,
I'm with you.
Um, so I kind of like them on the pitching side. On the offensive side, that I mean that's where the Orioles really shine. 235 home runs, four was it 435 slugging percentage. They just got a lot of mashers in their lineup. But one of their best players, Adley Rushman, has been hitting under 200 since the All-Star break.
Really, I would have never imagined that.
Yes, without a whole lot of pop to his bat. So um, I kind of see the Orioles. They peak too early, and they're on this direct they're on this downward slide. The Yankees have all that offense too, but Rizzo's out,
I know. Just heard that.
and I'm not sure if their pitching is good enough to carry them through. If Garrett Cole's healthy and he rises to the occasion, they can put him out there every game that
Four.
they can. He
Yeah.
he may be able to carry that team, but I'm not so enamored with their um, pitching. But I do like the offense, but they are a little banged up. Now, the Astros, good team, but I just don't see them as a scary team like they have been. Um,
Verlander didn't even make the
yeah,
roster for the first round, which is a little unusual with all of his experience. But they did have three better starters than him in their rotation.
yeah. Um, Once again, the Guardians have a good offense, um, and they did hit 185 home runs, so they got pop. But one thing about the Guardians, they stole 148 bases this year, so they're a running team. And then they've got the Naylor, they got Ramirez, they've got they. I'm saying I think Cleveland is a more complete team than anybody else. That doesn't mean that they're going to win. I
That's
see
right.
them as being the most complete team. And if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I put my money on Cleveland. The Royals kind of backed into the playoffs, weren't so hot down the stretch, but the Royals, once again, Bobby Wood Jr. is the game changer, um, and they got good pitching, especially starting pitching, and they also stole 134 bases, so they got kind of a running team too. Detroit just is not a 234 hitting team. You know, 162 home runs, which is a fair amount, but it's nothing that's going to stand out at you. They don't run real well, um, so they're probably going to win the World Series. That so how are you seeing the American League teams?
Well, the American League, I'm with you, Vince. I look at you got defense, you got your hitting, you got your starting pitching, and you got your bullpens. And the Orioles, have had a lot of injuries this year. The team they started with in April, they've had a lot of pitchers down. Means, Gonzalez, I believe, both of those were supposed to be like they're 3-4 or 2-3, and they're out. Um, so they're beat up on the pitching side, but that young nucleus is so good with the defense and the hitting that's kind of carried them. And they had to be pushed all year with the Yankees. They were running with the Yankees all year. So when they kind of slowed down a little, the Yankees just kept going because they were so good. But I really like them. Kansas City, they're not a deep offensive team, and they lost their first baseman, who I think he just recently came back. He might be on the roster.
He started today, played
He
the game.
started today. He doesn't have much playing back off of the IR, the back, but let's see. Yeah, maybe get it. But he's a big part of that team, and if he's not clicking on all cylinders, they could be hurting. And their starters are good, but I don't think their bullpen is exceptional. They might have enough to get out of the first round. Detroit, that coach has done a great job. AJ Hinch has done a great job with them, but I think nobody predicted them to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year. They traded away some of their top. You did? You said
Yes, I did.
oh, all right. I stand corrected. Everybody didn't think it would make the playoffs. That I tell you what,
I think
they
Max
traded,
had them too.
huh? Do I
I
now
think
the
Max
Mets?
had them in too.
Max too? Well, I know and then they traded Flaherty away, and Bias just hasn't had it this year. Is he on the 60-day IL?
Yeah,
IR last time?
he's on the IL. He's
But he
having
didn't do
hip
a whole lot.
surgery. Oh, he
Yeah,
did terrible. He
yeah.
did terrible. Um, I I I I look for them to eat that contract, DFA him, let someone else pick him up, and they're gonna have to eat the contract.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
When he was a young player, I was like, oh man, if the Cardinals just had him, and but sometimes people age quicker than others, injuries pile up, things like that. The
And
Astros, I like the Astros, Vince, because it's like the band's getting together for one more record. We're going to try one more time. Let's see what we got. And they got their first baseman back. He played today, Alvarez, I believe, was their first baseman, the big guy that can hit. And I just think with that experience, do you want momentum going into the playoffs? Everybody says they do. Experience is the big thing. They've got a ton of playoff experience, and they got home field advantage in the first round. So we'll see there. But like you said, Vince, I think the team that stands out head to toe is the Cleveland Guardians. They've got, and that Stephen Kwan had a great first half, didn't have so good of a second half, but he may step up here in the playoffs. He could be a guy to watch because he can be the igniter of that team. And with their pitching and that bullpen, which I think might be the best bullpen in baseball, and they've played some close games. They're used to playing close games. Cleveland could be, and it'd be a great story because it's been a long time since they've won a World Series. And I'm a sucker for a good story, Vince, and that could be the story right there, Cleveland. But they got to get through some other tough teams. But I really think everybody, Vegas is betting on the Yankees. They think they're the front runner there, but I think Cleveland might be able to get through them this year, Vince. This could be the year finally they get through them. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the bullpen right there. There's going to be some close games, and I think when it comes down to close games, Cleveland has the clear advantage over all the rest of the American League.
I agree with that. On the National League side, the Braves overall have best team ERA. Um, very good pitching, but the X factor is Chris Sale, who they've been kind of coy about, and he did not pitch in that doubleheader yesterday when they absolutely needed a win, which tells me that was a must win. He should have been out there. Something's wrong. Um, the Brewers have a very good rotation too, and a very good bullpen, and they seem to know how to use their pitchers, maximize their use. Um, the Phillies have very good pitching. They have some studs, and then they have some guys that are just there. They kind of got a weird mix. Padres, Dodgers, and Mets all have had their pitching struggles this year with injuries, so on and so forth. A couple of things that have stood out to me: the Dodgers in 79 save opportunities have only converted 50. If the Dodgers had that back end of the bullpen, the seventh, eighth, and ninth inning nailed down, they would have been easily over 100 win teams. The Mets, 64 save opportunities. They only converted 39. So
Hmm.
um, I'm I don't know if the Mets have the pitching. That's what I'm saying. Um, but when it comes to the offensive side, uh, in my mind, the Dodgers and the Braves are just have even with Acuna out, the Braves just have a great lineup. Each of those teams hit over 200 home runs. The Dodgers slugging percentage as a team is 446, whereas the Braves 415. So the Dodgers do slug a little more. But by golly, I see those two offenses is very good, and I see the Phillies offense as being really good. Uh, the Mets, the Padres, and the Brewers, I see them, and particularly the Mets. I see their offenses have holes in them. The Padres may be a little skewed because they didn't have a rise until the second half of the season, and he's made a difference. He has really made a difference on that team. But one thing that I do like about the Brewers is the team speed that they have. 217 stolen bases, which easily led the major leagues. So they are when they get on base, they wreak havoc. Um, Bryce Turang is an excellent base runner.
Yes, he is.
He can steal bases, but he's a very smart player. If we didn't have Nico Horner, Bryce Turang, I would say would be my favorite second baseman in the National League. But we have Nico; he's got to be my favorite. But
I understand.
um, they're kind of the same player. A lot of speed, a lot of contact, Gold Glove caliber defense. But the Brewers, I see their offense is lacking the most of the teams left. However, they do have the team speed, which can nullify that, and they do have some very good pitching. What are your thoughts on the National League teams?
Well, I'll start off with San Diego. I think that's a fantastic team. Uh, they've got a lot of guys you don't want to face in big situations. Arise, like you said, when he came over, it made a big difference. But I always thought Manny Machado was a special player, but this year he's really stood out to me as just I think he should win the Gold Glove from what I've seen in the National League. Fantastic. The power, he comes up with the big hits. You're talking about guys that seem to come up in a big situation and just come through. Machado's one of those guys. A lot of good players on that team, and from head to toe. And I think Schultz got them playing good. I think they're a very good defensive team. And I tell you what, they're solid from top to bottom. The Braves, a lot of injuries. You lose your ace, you lose your best player, and still yet here you are. They crept in there at the end, but their coach has done a heck of a job. I think that's a tight team who's going to give you everything they've got. I don't know. They've got the good teams seem to have that little section of their lineup where there's three guys. You're like, oh, we got to go through that part of the lineup again. And the Braves strike me as one of those teams. It's their third baseman, and their catcher's not hitting like he usually did in the past, but he's a good player. They play good defense. Look out, man! That's going to be a good team. The Mets, they got some superstars on that team, and they, they just surprised me. I don't know. They're playing with house money, and I think they're going to be loosey goosey, just in there having a good time and give you everything they got. But that kind of surprised me getting into the playoff, to be honest with you. And Lindor, uh, much respect for him. When he went over from the Guardians, I just didn't know if he lived up to expectations. But this has been the year where he's really come through. I don't see him every day like all the Mets fans do, but my gosh, he's worth every penny now. He's come over there and just put that team on his back. The Brewers, they seem like a team of destiny. Then sometimes there's just a team that is lightning in a bottle. But that Jackson Churios, an incredible player, but he's a little light on the defensive side. And if there's a big moment in a game, I've seen him take wrong cuts to the ball, and he scares me a little bit out there in left field. But he's got a great arm. He's fast. He steals bases to ring, like you said. Contreras has had the best year of his career. And Adamas, I hate to say it, probably won't be back next year. But, sometimes when you're on your last time with that team, you just, I don't know. I know you 100% anyway, but it seems like, man, this could be something, a special story. But the Phillies, that team scares the lightning out of me. It seems like last year just took a team of destiny. The Arizona Diamondbacks knocked them out. And when you go to Philadelphia, Vince, I know that's a home field advantage. Any team going into Philadelphia, it's tough. They are loud, they're obnoxious, and they're intimidating. So I think the Phillies have that on their side too, besides the three stud pitchers. And I look at these other teams, and the Dodgers have been decimated with injuries with their starting pitching. I don't know if anybody can hang with their three big starters up at the top. And so, as you can tell, I'm kind of picking the Phillies to go pretty far this year, just because that team. They got a nice mix of veterans and young guys. They run, they play defense. But there's a player the Dodgers got at the somewhere in the season, that center fielder, I think it's his last year, Kermeyer, and he is one of the best defensive center fielders I've seen in the game. And I was in Milwaukee, and there was a play where they had a fast runner at third, a fly ball to mid center, and he threw a BB home and got the guy just going into the slide. So that could be a big difference, having him out there patrolling the middle of center field for the Dodgers, like they have all these other weapons. The Dodgers have those three big studs. The Phillies have that. The Braves have that. So look out. This is going to be fun, Vince. Any team's got a chance. It's wide open this year. But I just think the teams that are really good from top to bottom, San Diego, Philadelphia, LA, those teams right there just have a little advantage over everybody else. And then we get further in the rounds, there'll be more home games for those teams. So anyway, that's how I'm looking at it, Vince.
Well, let me tell you how stupid I am. Um,
You ain't stupid.
Three first round games so far today,
All right.
and the team that I picked to win has lost all three of them. Baltimore lost at home. And remember, in the first round, the team with the best record, they get its best 2 out of 3, and it's in their home. Kansas City went into Baltimore, won 1-0. Bobby Witt, base hit, then he scored the only run. Cole Reagan's pitched great. The Eckhard, the reliever, he threw really good and closed out the game. And Corbin Burns pitched a great game, pitched
Yes.
8 innings, um, and lost 1-0. So Kansas City has two more cracks in Baltimore to win one game. Look at it that way.
Yeah.
The game that really surprised me, Detroit beat Houston today in Houston. All three games are in Houston. I wasn't surprised that Tarek Skubal pitched such a great game. But I was surprised how that lineup got some timely hits and beat the Astros. Um, and then in the last game that I was watching when the podcast started, Milwaukee at home lost to the Mets 8-4. So um, this is what I have. I had Baltimore winning against Kansas City and then playing the Yankees, and I've got Baltimore beating the Yankees. And in the lower division, lower half of that bracket in the American League, I've got Houston beating Detroit, and then Cleveland beating Houston. And then in the American League Championship Series, I have Cleveland beating Baltimore. On the National League side, I had Milwaukee, or in the upper bracket, I had San Diego beating Atlanta, and we've yet to see that game yet. Um, but one thing that did impress me about Atlanta, in a must-win after that heartbreaking loss in Game 1 of that doubleheader, they came out and won 3-0,
Yeah.
and that they were not playing. The Mets weren't sitting anybody, and they weren't hung over. The
Yeah.
the Mets played it straight, so. But I have San Diego beating Atlanta, and then in the lower bracket, I have Milwaukee um, beating the Mets. And then I have when in the upper bracket, I have San Diego beating Los Angeles. In the lower bracket, I have Philly beating Milwaukee. And for the National League title, I have San Diego beating Philadelphia. And my World Series champion, ending the drought that's been going on since 1948, are the Cleveland Guardians. That's how
Very,
I see it.
very good. Very good. Everyone out there listen to Vince because I think he gets it right more
You
than
know
I
how
do.
wrong I am all the time.
Well, I'm in the same boat. I picked the home teams for mostly in this first round. I picked the Orioles over the Royals. Well, that didn't happen today. And I figured the Orioles, it was 1-0. I thought that lineup could at least score a run and then use their bullpen and get to Kansas City, but nope, didn't happen. I picked in the other one, I picked the Astros over the Detroit Tigers, and well, shows you what I know right there. But there is two more games. There could be two more games. Then I have Orioles going on to play the Yankees, and I picked the Yankees to win that series in a good fought game. But I just think the Yankees have got too much power. So then I have the Astros playing the Cleveland team, and I have Cleveland winning. So I think me and you're pretty close on that. The Yankees and Cleveland meeting in the American League Championship, and I have Cleveland beating the Yankees. So we agree on that right there.
Right.
So that means it won't happen. So that's the American League champ.
It means that
Over,
Detroit is going to the World Series.
that's right. Yes. So over in the National League, I have San Diego beating the Braves, and I just think they're healthier, more solid team at this point in the season. And then the other series, I have the Brewers beating the Mets, and I'm wrong on that one right now, as so far. So going to the next round, San Diego would advance to play the Dodgers. And I have San Diego beating the Dodgers this year. I think there's too many injuries with those Dodgers right now. And even with their hitting, Freeman's beat up. That's it's been a little beat up. And then you got Otani. I wouldn't pitch if there's an open base, you put Otani on first. Just don't even pitch to that guy. And I have the Brewers going to the second round to play the Phillies, and I just think the Phillies are too strong, and Phillies having the home field advantage. I picked the Phillies. So it's Padres, Phillies. I have the Phillies winning that. Going, I'd bet 6 or 7 games. And for the World Series, I had the Cleveland Guardians versus the Philadelphia Phillies. But I took the Phillies, Vince. I took the Phillies. I
We've
think
got
those
to break this curse.
well, the Phillies have those 3 stud pitchers at the top. And then you put the other guys in the bullpen, and that bullpen, oh, that's just too good. And Bryce Harper's one of those guys that comes up big. They got so many good players on that team that are game players. JT Realmuto and there's so many good players on the Phillies that I would want to pitch to about 7 of the 9 starters on their team.
Um, it's going to be fun. It always is fun. I
Oh yeah,
after the last game, I spend about 24 hours kind of being depressed after the last game of the season, but then the playoffs start and I get rejuvenated. So I won't be depressed until for another month. But
yes,
so
I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, there's a part of me that dies when the Cardinal season's over, and then Goldie leaving. I guess it's official. That just hurts my heart. That's 6 years. I can't believe how fast it went. But there'll be new young players coming. Who knows who the Cardinals will pick up? But it looks like I like the direction we're going, and we got the playoffs and the World Series. History will be made. We'll have some great memories out of this. And then Vince, it won't be long after that. It's award season, free agency, winter meetings, spring training, and we're back at it again.
very good. Well, JJ, I have 1989 score.
Ooh, I don't even remember what those look like. I think they're a solid thing around, a solid color, if I remember right. I have the series. This is from, I'm sponsored again, Vince, by Tom or Jay, my official
I
baseball
need to
card
get
sponsor.
friends. I need to not be an introvert and get friends.
Grab a friend, have him buy you a pack of cards. Tom or Jay, you're the best, my friend. Tom or Jay, 4 out of 5 doctors prefer Tom or Jay.
You want to go ahead and go first?
Sure, I got the 2024 Tom got me a 2024 Series 2 tops here. So let me put the cards in some order where I'm not flipping back and forth. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, we got Oakland A's. We may not be saying that much longer. The Oakland A's. Right. Oh, the kid that led the American League, Esteberry Rose. I can't say these names, but the Oakland A's stolen base, fantastic player right there. He led the American League in stolen bases last year. One of the key players that, boy, wouldn't it be great if the A's get to the playoffs here one day. Colin Moran, a third baseman, first baseman from the Seattle Mariners. That's another team that just missed the playoffs, you
Yeah.
know? And that fan base was behind them all year, and they just didn't quite get there. Oh, and this guy's been around a long time, Corey Kluber, and here he is with the Red Sox. They caught him pitching right there. I like those two socks. I think that's a classic right there. Oh, Pittsburgh's one of their young stud pitcher, Mitch Keller.
Oh
That
yeah.
kid, yeah. You know what, Vince? Besides the Brewers, we got to worry about the Pirates and the Reds next year. They're coming hard. Oh, here's somebody you may recognize, Dansby Swanson.
Yeah,
There he
Dansby.
is. There he is throwing the ball for a double play, probably
Husband
at
of an
second base
Olympic
right
gold
there.
medalist.
Jameson Taillon. We're hitting the Cubs heavy right now.
Oh,
There he is.
he had a good season.
Oh yeah. Oh, oh, the third baseman. He was with Seattle. He's with somebody different now. Suarez from Seattle. I can't remember who he's with. Is he Arizona? Maybe.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
he's with
so.
Arizona. I think so too.
Somewhere out west.
Oh, here's a Detroit number one draft choice, Casey Mize.
Oh,
Yeah, he's been a lot of injuries so far in his career. Oh, you know this kid, third baseman Isaac. You'll know how to say the last name. He's with the Cubs now.
Paredes, yes.
Yeah, there he is.
Yep.
I tell you what, I think you got a good one there. That's a big step up. All right, Reed Detmers, a all rookie team for the Angels. And I don't know, we didn't talk about it, but the Angels had their worst season ever. More losses than any other time in their history.
Mm.
Oh, here's Puerto
God's
Rico.
man.
I don't know what they did wrong out there.
You are my
Mark,
angels. Go out there and play better. You're making me look bad.
the fans aren't doing the angel wave thing.
Yeah.
Marcus Stroman, for the Puerto Rican, they got the Puerto Rican flag there,
Oh
an
yeah.
ex-Chicago Cub. And stars of the MLB, it is Oscar Gonzalez from the Cleveland Guardians.
Oh.
There he is. Nice young player right there. All righty. And that's it for my cards. Thank you, Tom Jay.
Okay. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Yes, there's tension in the air.
All right. I got this little hologram in here.
Ooh, I like that.
1981, A Year to Remember.
Oh, yes.
And
81.
it says, player strike, 50 days creates split season. Mike Schmidt leads majors with 31 home runs, 92 RBIs. Dolan Ryan pitches record fifth no-hitter and a lot of other stuff that I can't read because that print is so dadgum small.
My gosh.
Jeez. Hey, okay. Two Hall of Famers. And
All
this
right.
one's cheating because I opened it before I said that.
I'll go one.
Hall of Famer, Cal Ripken Jr.
Oh, yes.
He really does look like William Frawley, who played Fred Mertz on I Love Lucy. That's what he looks like now. They showed him on TV a few times. Like,
Oh, okay.
you got so
Fred,
ugly.
Fred Mertz.
Guy who lives in St. Louis now. Former All-Star for the Mets, played for the Dodgers and the Yankees. Darryl Strawberry.
Darryl.
Oh, when I lived in Kansas City, he was one of my favorite players, underrated, second generation major league player, Danny Tartabull.
Oh, yeah. The Seattle Mariner,
He's
Kansas City Royal.
coming off a 29 home run, 102 RBI season in '88 when I lived in Kansas City.
That's good.
Former Astros All-Star, also played for the Orioles, first baseman Glenn Davis.
Yes, power hitter.
We just talked about this guy last week. Super utility guy, played all over the place. Tony Phillips.
Tony Phillips. I was thinking him as a Tiger.
Yeah, I do too. First baseman for the Expos, also played for the Rockies and the St. Louis Cardinals. Andreas Galarraga,
Oh yeah,
great
yeah.
player. You don't hear much about him. Man, he had like an 8-year span where he was just,
On fire.
yeah. One of these Mets players that I hate from back on the World Series team, Wally Backman.
Oh, that guy always getting hit with the ball and on base all the time. Yes, he was a pain in the butt.
Oh, seeing with ESPN or MLB Network now. Former second baseman for the Mariners, Harold Reynolds.
Oh, I love Harold Reynolds. Yeah, he's an MLB.
The old knuckleballer when he pitched for the Rangers, Charlie Ha.
Charlie. Yeah.
Uh, for the Twins, catcher, outfielder, Brian Harper.
Oh yeah, I met him.
Oh, you
Played with
did?
yeah at a card show.
Really?
Yeah, nice guy. He's not. He looks a lot different these days. Fred Mertz.
Pitcher for the Red Sox, Wes Gardner. Remember the name? Don't remember much about him.
Yeah, I don't recall him.
Former Cy Young Award winner as a relief pitcher for the Padres, Mark Davis. I think
Oh
this was,
yeah, he had a
yeah,
lot of saves one year in particular, I believe.
this was his Cy Young year. Yeah, very good. Another former Cy Young Award winner, left-handed pitcher, pitched for the Orioles and the Blue Jays, Mike Flanagan.
Oh yeah, Blanket, very good pitcher.
Former Cardinal, former Expo, former Angel, and one of my favorite commentators who commentates for the Royals now, Hurricane Hudler.
He was a Pete Rose kind of player,
Oh
all
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've got a 1988 World Series card. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
Look at
I
that.
like that. Yeah. Is that
Uh,
the A's and the Dodgers? Was that
A's and
88?
Dodgers. Yep, yep. Former Indian shortstop Paul Zuvella
No, I don't remember him.
and former Dodgers infielder Mike Sharperson.
Yes, I remember him.
You remember him?
Yeah, he was always seems to be a utility guy everywhere he
I love
went.
him. One thing I like about these cards, I love the back, the color
Yes,
picture, the green on there. And then, for teams with different colors, like there's the Expos with the red, a little bit of blue.
I like that. Gives you a
Very
little history of the player on the back too, a little story. Very good.
JJ, I'll tell you what I did. I always get my cards off of Yahoo, unless I'm at
Okay.
like a thrift shop and I find old cards there. I ordered a huge order and I've got like a year supply, but I've been, oh, come on, off of here. Ah, it's stuck. Oh, yeah, I put it down. I got this little thing that's just full of packaged baseball cards I could just reach into every. That
Oh,
I put the ones I open in the back and until I properly put them up somewhere. So there we go. Life
very
is
good.
right now. So JJ, I have drank. This was about this much beer. I drank this much. I gave it a 2, and I will stick with that. But
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to go up to 3 now.
no, no, no. It's it's. I know it's only 8% alcohol, but that's still too strong for me. It's like, So.
Yeah.
Well, JJ, next week when we talk, we'll be further into the playoffs. It's postseason baseball. It's fun
Yes.
to watch.
We'll see if we're correct on our picks. We'll be in the second round. We'll be in the second round. Maybe we'll have one guy get through the first round. Maybe.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get in. Don't listen to us. We don't know what we're talking about. That's how it's gonna be. Right. Well, JJ, you have a great week, okay?
You too, Vince. Everybody out there, we'll see you next Tuesday.